Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Brittany of BrittanyJJones.com. In this video, I am going to be demonstrating how to sew patch pockets with the flap. Let's get started. I will be using McCall's 8452, the pockets from this pattern for this demo. The first thing that we're going to do is you want to go ahead and transfer all the markings on your pocket. As you can see, I've transferred mine here, and I've also clipped along the sides where the fold line is. The first thing that you want to do is turn in 1/4 inch along the upper edge of your pocket. I'm going to place a mark here, that way we can know my right from wrong side. So this here is going to be the wrong side of my fabric. So I'm going to turn in 1/4 inch going toward the wrong side of the fabric along the upper edge, and let's go ahead and give that a press. Once you have the 1/4 inch turned in, now along the right side, we're going to fold this over along the fold line like so. So I'm going to grab some pins here just to hold this in place. After you have it pinned, now we can go to the sewing machine and we're just going to stitch all along the raw edges along our stitching line. Our stitching line is 5/8 inch. So beginning up here at 5/8 inch, we're just going to sew and continue all the way down the side, the lower edge, and again back up here to the top of our pocket. Let's go ahead and stitch it now. Okay, now that we have done our stitching along the seam line, now we can go ahead and trim up here along the facing. For the facing, you don't want to just take all of this off. We want to trim away all of the facing like so, but we don't want to trim off all of the pocket. So I'm just gonna clip it and trim it like so. So this is what it looks like once it's trimmed. You can see I trimmed away all the facing, but I did not trim away all of the actual pocket piece. Let's go ahead and trim the other the same way. Now that we have it trimmed, we can go ahead and turn the upper edge of the pocket toward the inside, and we can give this a press, and then we can also press in the raw edges as well, right along that stitching line. And then here you want to press in diagonally so that we get the corners in. But let's go ahead and press the pocket nice and flat along the stitching line. Okay, once you have given your pocket a press, so this is what my pocket looks like along the inside here. And along the corners, I press the corners in diagonally. If you have a bulky fabric, you can trim down some of that seam allowance. So now we're going to go to our sewing machine and we want to do a basting stitch right here close to this press edge. So let's go ahead and do a basting stitch now, again, right here close to this inner pressed edge. Okay, once you have your basting stitch on, again, we baste it close to this inner pressed edge. Now on the outside, we can do a top stitch. So we're just gonna follow right along with the basting stitch, doing a top stitch. Let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, now that I have my top stitch installed, I'm gonna go ahead and remove my basting stitch. Once you have your top stitching done, now we can go ahead and place the pocket onto our garment, matching our circles. So here are the circles here. The top circles are for the flap, but I'm going to be placing it here along the bottom circles on this pattern, and I'm going to be matching it up with the circles here along my pocket. So I'm just going to place it right there along the top. Now we can go ahead and pin the pocket in place. Okay, once we have it pinned, now we can go to the sewing machine and we're just going to do an edge stitch. Starting up here at the top, you can back stitch all the way down. Once you get to the corner here, you can pivot, come across, pivot, and go back up to the top and back stitch. Again, we're going to be doing this in the edge stitch, so we're going to be really close to the edge of the patch pocket. After you have the edge stitch done, you can do a top stitch. The top stitch is optional. Maybe you're working with denim and you really want those double rows of stitching. But if you are good with just doing an edge stitch, that's all you need to do. Again, the top stitching is optional. Let's go ahead and do an edge stitch now. Okay, I have my pocket stitched on. As you can see, I did an edge stitch here all along the pocket. So you can go ahead and do yours the same way. And again, if you would like to do a top stitch, you can do that, but a top stitch is optional. Now that we have the patch pocket done, let's attach the flap. You should have cut out 2 of fabric and 1 of interfacing. To begin, we're gonna lay our pieces right sides facing, and we're gonna pin along the sides. Okay, so again, we are stitching one interface side and one uninterfaced side together, right sides facing. We are going to stitch along the sides, the lower edge, and the other side. Make sure that you leave the top portion of the flap open. Let's go ahead and stitch at a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now that we have it sewn, let's go ahead and trim our seams. Now we can go ahead and turn the pocket toward the inside and give that a press. Now that we have it pressed, we can go ahead and do a basting stitch. I'm going to do a basting stitch right here along the raw edges, the upper edge here, at a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Then you want to go ahead and do some edge stitching along the edge of the pocket. And again, you can do top stitching, but top stitching is optional. So if you want to do the top stitching, you can do that after you have your edge stitching done. Let's go ahead and do the basting stitch and the edge stitch now. Now that we have our basting stitch installed as well as our edge stitch, if you wanted to do top stitching, you would have top stitching along yours. Now let's go ahead and place it onto the garment. There are 2 markings here above my patch pocket, and that is where I'm going to place the flap. So for the flap, I am going to match up the circles here, which are right along my basting stitch line. So I'm gonna match those up there and pin in place. Now I'm gonna go to the sewing machine and I'm just gonna stitch following along with my basting stitch. Now that we have it sewn, let's go ahead and trim down our seam. Now once we have it trimmed, we can fold the flap coming down like so, and then we can do a top stitch right along the upper edge of the flap. Let's go ahead and do that now. Once you have your top stitching done along the upper edge here of your flap, you are all done sewing a patch pocket with the flap. Well, that is all for the video, and I really do hope that you all enjoyed the demo. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below, and be sure to check out simplicity.com for more sewing tutorials. Until next time, blessings everyone. Bye.